An American serviceman feeds Japanese children in Okinawa in 1945. After the battle, which resulted in over 200,000 deaths, civilians faced extreme hunger. Many soldiers shared their rations with the local population amid the devastation. Prisoners stand for roll call in Buchenwald concentration camp, Germany, around 1943. The camp held about 250,000 inmates subjected to forced labor and medical experiments. Approximately 56,000 people died there. An RAF Lancaster bomber flies over Hamburg, Germany, amidst heavy anti-aircraft fire during Operation Gomorrah in July 1943. The city suffered devastating bombings, resulting in over 42,000 deaths. A Soviet soldier guards a German prisoner after the Battle of Stalingrad, which ended in February 1943. The Nazi defeat, with over 90,000 soldiers captured, marked the start of the German retreat on the Eastern Front and changed the course of the war. Russian boys pose with captured weapons after the Battle of Stalingrad in 1943. They hold Kar-98K rifles and MG-34 machine guns abandoned by defeated German soldiers. August Landmesser stands out for refusing to give the Nazi salute in 1936, defying Hitler's regime. Expelled from the party for marrying a Jewish woman, he was imprisoned and died in 1944 in a penal battalion. His wife, Irma Eckler, died in Auschwitz. A formation of Luftwaffe bombers is shown in 1939. Aircraft like the Junkers Ju-52 were crucial for blitzkrieg attacks early in the war, transporting troops and supplies for rapid invasions. Child survivors of Auschwitz, recently liberated by the Red Army in January 1945. The camp, operational from 1940 to 1945, was the site of the extermination of over 1 million people. The liberation exposed the horrors of the Holocaust to the world. The 82nd Airborne Division is seen in action during Operation Market Garden, which began on September 17, 1944. It was the largest airborne operation of the war, involving 34,600 men aiming to capture strategic bridges in the Netherlands. Guerrilla fighter Stephen Filipovich shouts, "Death to fascism, freedom to the people," moments before his execution in Valjevo on May 22, 1942. He became an icon of anti-fascist resistance in the Balkans. After the sinking of the German battleship Bismarck on May 27, 1941, the HMS Dorsetshire rescued only 110 of its 2,091 crew members. The Bismarck was the largest Nazi warship sunk during World War II. Jews are forced onto trains to concentration camps under Nazi supervision around 1941. Over 3 million were deported to Auschwitz alone. The trains often carried up to 1,000 people in cramped, unsanitary conditions. A liberated Buchenwald prisoner, visibly emaciated, drinks from a metal bowl in April 1945. The explosion of the American ship SS Robert Rowan occurred on July 11, 1943, after being hit by a German bomber near the coast of Gela, Sicily. Despite the destruction, the crew successfully evacuated. The Night Witches of the Soviet 588th Night Bomber Regiment were all female pilots who completed over 23,000 missions in World War II. They flew simple planes without radar, stealthily bombing German forces at night. A Japanese plane is shot down while attempting to attack the USS Kitcon Bay near the Mariana Islands in June 1944 during the Battle of the Philippine Sea. The battle became known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, due to the massive destruction of enemy aircraft. The explosion of a depth charge is captured as the Coast Guard cutter Spencer protects convoys in the Atlantic from Nazi submarines on April 17, 1943. This action was vital in the Battle of the Atlantic. Explosions over Paris, France in December 1943 during a bombing raid by US B-17 flying fortresses. Targets included a ball-bearing factory and the Hispano-Suiza engine repair depot, weakening Nazi logistics. 3 children sit among the rubble of a neighborhood in East London, left homeless during the Battle of Britain in September 1940. The German Blitz devastated residential areas, leaving thousands without shelter. Destroyed US vehicles are scattered across the black sands of Iwo Jima in March 1945. The battle lasted 36 days, with 21,000 Japanese defenders. Only about 200 were captured alive. It was one of the bloodiest battles of the Pacific War. 2 U.S. Marines used flamethrowers to attack Japanese positions on Iwo Jima on March 4, 1945. As they advanced, the battle secured a vital strategic base for the Allies in the Pacific. A mushroom cloud rises 60,000 feet over Nagasaki, Japan, after the second atomic bomb was dropped on August 9, 1945. The attack killed approximately 70,000 people, hastening Japan's surrender and marking the end of World War II. An Avro Lancaster of the RAF's 514th Squadron flies over an oil depot in Bethune, France, during a raid on August 4, 1944. These strategic bombings aimed to disrupt German fuel supplies. In London, on July 30, 1944, a firefighter rescues Barbara James from the rubble after German bombings. The city was targeted by V-1 flying bombs, long-range weapons used by the Nazis during the Battle of Britain. Artillery soldiers of the Soviet Second Belarusian Front operate during the 1944 offensive. This campaign, part of Operation Bagration, destroyed Germany's Army Group Center, liberated much of Belarus, and accelerated the Soviet advance toward Berlin. On December 13, 1943, German forces executed between 693 and 752 civilians and burned over 1,000 homes in Kalavrita, Greece. The massacre was retaliation for partisan attacks and remains one of the worst war crimes of the Nazi occupation. Heinrich Himmler, leader of the SS and Gestapo, inspects a prisoner camp in the Soviet Union in August 1941. Millions of Soviet prisoners perished in Nazi captivity due to starvation, forced labor, and systematic executions. Lyudmila Pavlichenko, known as Lady Death, was a Soviet sniper with 309 confirmed kills during World War II. She fought in key battles such as Odessa and Sevastopol, becoming one of the most legendary sharpshooters in history. 2 teenage girls assemble PPD-40 submachine guns during the siege of Leningrad in 1943. The Nazi blockade lasted 872 days, causing severe food shortages. Civilians, including children, were mobilized to support the war effort, working in weapons factories. A massive depot of American Sherman tanks is stacked in a scrapyard in Hamburg after the end of World War II. Many of these tanks, essential during the conflict, were discarded due to demilitarization and surplus stock. The Japanese battleship Yamato is struck by a bomb near its 18 1-inch gun turret in the Sibuyan Sea on October 24, 1944. While the Yamato survived, its sister ship, Musashi, was sunk the same day during the Battle of Leyte Gulf. A Japanese plane is shot down while attacking the USS Kitkan Bay during the Battle of the Marianas in June 1944. Known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, the battle saw US pilots destroy 315 enemy aircraft with overwhelming ease.